Hey everybody, Morgana Galaxia here. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm on today, take this off for a sec. I'm on today because, man, I got a lot of questions about Ukraine and Russia and everything that's going on over there in that part of the world. So I'm going to see how many questions I can get to through today. I'm going to start off by looking at these MIGs that Poland wants to give to Ukraine. I think they're MIGs, right? Those fighter jets. So, first we thought Poland was going to give them to Ukraine, and then Poland was saying, oh, we're going to give them to Germany, and then give them to Ukraine. It turns out what they want to do is give them to the United States via an air base we have in Germany. And then the U.S. can give them to Ukraine, and then the U.S. can just give Poland, replace those old Russian MiGs with newer U.S. MiGs, and so forth and so on. So there's a big old disagreement, and they're trying to hash this out while Ukraine, obviously, is needing these planes and needs to defend themselves. So Harris, VP Kamala Harris is traveling over there. She's in Warsaw today. And everyone assuming part of the reason is to talk about this plane debacle. And of course they're saying, oh no, it's unrelated. BS. She's over there to try and figure out a way to get Ukraine these planes. Okay, so that's the first thing I want to take a look at. So let's start with just an easy peasy. Is Ukraine going to be able to take possession of these planes? All right. Just one sec. Okay, so is Ukraine going to be able to get a hold of these MiGs in time, right? Is this, transaction going to happen? Nice, easy peasy. All right. Oh. All right, so here we're starting off with the Queen of Cups. Here, this beautiful queen. There's a gift. There's an offering, right? Here's Poland. We would like to offer you these MiGs. The United States, is basically on board. They'd like to. There's an offering that's being made here. But the challenge is that there are some blocks. There's some problems with it. So, this would be the card of being in a self-defensive position. People are coming at you, trying to defend yourself. They're obviously worried that the whole objection here is that friggin' Putin will go nuts, right? He will say that, oh, Poland or the U.S. or NATO is now a participant in this war and escalate, right? So that is the challenge, is the escalation of the attack. With the outcome, we've got the Hanging Man. Ooh, so this is delay. They're going to have to figure out a workaround on this. They're going to have to look at it differently. This isn't going to be a clean-cut transaction. They have to figure out a way to get this done, and it is going to delay the delivery of these planes. Well, great. That's kind of what's happening already, right? Let's get down into it. Show me. Let's do another row here. Okay, so to clarify the offer that's being made, we have the Seven of Swords. The Seven of Swords. So this generally would be the card of trying to get away with something, right? Trying to steal something. So this will kind of lead me to believe that maybe part of the problem here is Poland saying, hey, we'll give these old-ass Russian MiGs to Ukraine for free, but we want some planes from the U.S. with a comparable capability. And, let's be clear, any planes they get from the U.S. is going to be way more advanced than some old-ass Russian planes. So there might be some trouble with this. This is part of the problem, okay, is trying to obtain something, trying to take something from your own group. So Poland trying to get some planes from the United States, these replacement planes. This might be part of the holdup in this offer here. To drill down and clarify the challenge of that kind of pushback, we have a Page of Cups. So this is kind of telling me that there will be an offer, that this challenge here is still, there's still an offer on the table. They still want to get this done. Even they want to go through these challenges and still kind of get this transaction done. So even though they're worried about Putin's response, they're kind of have, you know, they need to figure out a way to get this done. They really do want to give these planes to Ukraine. So they do want to have this happen. So the clarifier with the Hanging Man, the delay here that all this brouhaha is causing, the clarifier there is the Queen of Swords. So yeah, that's great. The Queen's going to come in with this resource. Okay, here, this is something I'm going to provide you to bolster you, to increase your abundance, your resources, and your wherewithal. So I think based on that, yes, this is going to happen. Okay, we know there's an offer made. There's a lot of problems with it. Where are these planes coming from? Who are they going to go through? Are they going to be replaced? How's Putin going to react? So they're thinking, you know, it's a delay, and they're wrapping their heads around how to make this happen. But they do want to do this. And eventually the Queen is going to come in and grant that resource. So I'm going to say, yeah, it's going to happen. After a delay, they will get their planes. I don't know, you know, if we're going to be giving Poland some new American ones to compensate, but it does look like Ukraine will get those old decrepit Russian fighters. Okay, so that's just on the MiGs. Let's take a look at VP Kamala Harris and her trip into Warsaw. She's going into Warsaw, Poland, and then she's going to move into Romania. Is that Krakow? I'm not quite sure what their capital is, but she's going to both Poland and Romania. They must, I'm sure, going to be talking about the refugee crisis as well, right? Just reiterating the U.S.'s support, and I don't think there's a question. I mean, it's so clear that the U.S. and NATO is so strongly behind Ukraine. They're just, you know, it's kind of understandable but frustrating how they're just hemming and hawing around Putin, you know, fearing his escalation. We all know why. Nukes. Okay, so Harris, Kamala Harris, what is this trip to Poland and Romania all about? What can you tell us about what they're talking about, or what's going to come out of it? What's going to come out of this trip of Harris's to Poland and Romania? Okay. So what I'm seeing here right off the bat is money. Okay, so we're starting off. What is Harris doing over there? What are they talking about? What are they doing? They're talking about money, funding, financing, the war chest. Okay, how are they going to be paying for refugees, paying for these MiGs? Where's the money going to go? So money, funding. So what's going on? Their challenge is the Ace of Cups. So the challenge is getting this kind of off the ground, right? We know there's a delay with these MiGs. This delay. So this cup is, you know, a new opportunity, you know, something new, an upstart opportunity here. It's a challenge. So it's being delayed, and this moon is telling us, yes, there's phases of time here. This is a process. It's not an automatic. We're going to have to wait and be patient for this, which is a huge challenge because there's urgency for Ukraine to get these planes, right? So, I mean, this is the rub. They need them now, and this process is being delayed. But again, with this cup, this is you know, reinforcing that previous Queen's Cup. This is a gift they want to give to Ukraine. It's out of, I won't say the goodness of our hearts, but there's an emotional aspect to it, right? We're supporting them. We have their backs. We want this nation to survive. You know, we want to support this democracy. But the challenge here, again, is that there's it's just not a quick process. There's delay. It takes time to figure this stuff out. But the end result here for Harris's trip, so let me see if I can get into this a little more. Okay, we got the money, we got the challenge here. Yeah, the challenge is just how do we give money and when and to who and how much and how is this going to roll out? Okay, the result is the Nine of Cups. So this is that abundance, that happiness, the satisfaction of having all the resources you need here. So again, just like the last reading said, I think she's going to be successful in making this happen. They're there to think around it. How can we make this happen? And it's going to, you know, with generosity and in friendship, all these resources, all these cups are going to be given to bolster them, increase their wealth and abundance, to give them what they need in order to be happy and to succeed. You know, obviously I'm saying that just in the strict confines of this reading. By no means do I think Ukrainians are going to be happy because they're being destroyed right now. But looks like Harris's trip is going to result in some funds moving into that country to bolster Ukraine by way of, you know, Romania and Poland, I guess. Okay, so I just want to take a little quick look there. But I also want to look at the Russians, okay? Because I think we're all understanding that Putin's propaganda, as much as he, you know, as much as he pushed propaganda into the US to interfere with our elections and our social fabric, the poor Russian people have it that much worse. You know, all their stories are coming out that they don't even know Russia has bombed Ukraine. There was a story just yesterday about this son whose family has already fled. You know, he's trying to find a safe haven, and he finally got a hold of his father on the phone who didn't even believe him. And so this is not uncommon. People there, they either don't know that Ukraine is being bombed, or they think that it's a humanitarian mission, right? That Putin is protecting Russians against the Nazis. You know, the propaganda machine is in full swing in Russia. And for those of you who don't know, propaganda was Putin's expertise when he was in the KGB. So he is all about the propaganda. He's an expert at it. So what I want to know is these Russian people. So we already know they're subject to the propaganda. We want to know if that spell will be broken, right? Will they ever learn the truth? Will Russians, and not 20 years from now after it's said and done, right? But there's a lot of dynamics at play. A lot of Ukrainians have Russian family, like I just mentioned. They're calling home. There's friends in Russia. There's a lot of relationships, right? Because these are fraternal peoples. So not only the people contacting families and friends, but also Russian soldiers that might be returning to Russia after serving their tour in Ukraine. Or, you know, the anonymous hack that is trying to get outside information into Russia. Any little bits of access they might have to outside media that filters into Russia. There's a variety of ways that they could get access to outside information, i.e. the truth of what is happening between Russia and Ukraine. So that's what I want to, what is that looking like? How is the Russian people, will the Russian people learn about Putin in Ukraine, right? I want to know, like, during this war, not in the future, not in 20 years, Now, while it's happening, will the Russian people be able to learn the truth? At some point, will Putin's propaganda fall? Will Russians ever get to know the truth? Show me what you can. All right. I'm going to do a little bit bigger spread on this because I really want to know. I mean, this is what we're dealing with here in our own country, right? With the GOP and the whole election lie, right? It's all about propaganda and lies. Okay. Okay. Propaganda, Russia. We're starting off here. We're starting off here with the Two of Swords. Okay, so normally this card means a really important decision needs to be made, and it's a really tough one because you can't see what the outcome might bring you. But you know, the feeling I'm getting here in the context of my question is that this is the Russian people. They're blind to the truth, okay? And they've got two swords here. One of them is Russian propaganda, and the other is outside information, okay? They are blind to the fact, I almost want to say they're blind to the fact that they're even a victim of propaganda, but they're unable to make a decision between these two because they can't see it. So this is a very reasonable card for how this issue is presenting. Okay, the Russian people, they cannot see that they have two kinds of information in front of them. They're unable to make a decision because they cannot see the nature of the propaganda versus the truth. In country, state-controlled media, outside media. They're just unable to differentiate, to know what's going on there. They're blinded. Their challenge is the sun. So their challenge is that they do not have open media. They are challenged by the fact that there is no illumination on the truth for them. Their, this exposure to information is their challenge. It's being limited. So the sun normally would shine the bright light on everything so everyone can see everything, right? That is their challenge. That is the question. Okay, we know this. What is above them and what are they going to inevitably have to face? We have the Six of Swords. Six of Swords. So they're going to be... The feeling I'm getting here is that what they're gonna have to face the fact that they need to leave in order to get the information that they need. They need to go outside their country, outside of their state-sponsored media in order to find what they're looking for. They're going to have to travel beyond the boundary in order to find what they're looking for here. It's a bit of a dark night of the soul. It's very treacherous to do that. It's scary. They're moving into the unknown in order to do that. So if you're in Russia and you start fiddling around with dark sites or trying to find, unsanctioned media, they're going to come down on you, right? They're already cracking down on their own media and what can be brought in. So it's a dangerous thing for them to kind of fiddle around and try and find something that's not state-sponsored. But they're going to have to do that. They're going to have to come face to face with the fact that they are in a closed system of information. So foundationally, what is the foundation of this question here? We have the King of Cups. So King of Cups, often my Biden card. I don't know if that's the case right now. So the feeling I'm getting here, this is a sense of freedom. This is a sense of open information, of an open market, right? Open media, free media that speaks the truth, exclaims the truth, no matter how turbulent the waters may be. So that is, you know, foundationally, this is what they need. They need to have access to open information, to truthful information that is accurate. So this king is someone in authority, right? Someone who knows the truth here. So valid news sites, you know, reputable news, respected, authoritative news here that's open, that gives them the light that they need. That's the foundation of this question. Okay. So in the past, the energy they're moving out of, I should say, what's already happened, is the Seven of Wands. So they have been barred, blocked from the outside world, right? From the media, you know, news sites, what have you, the information that the rest of us have access to, they've been blocked from that. Man, but the energy they're moving into is the devil. It's the devil. So this can only be Putin, right? This is Putin's crackdown on media, on saying the words war, saying the word invasion, jailing journalists, taking down websites, taking down news sites, barring the outside information from getting into Russia, right? So this is Putin. So this is just telling us that rather than letting up and loosening up, he is going to further confine this country, further constrict their information, just do what he does best, which is propaganda. That is still going to be coming up for them in their future. So it's going to get worse before it gets better, if it gets better. But yes, this is something that Putin's going to do. Crack down on the media, close those people off to this information. That is it. Okay, I'm going to take this reading a little bit further. So the unconscious influence here is, so Ace of Swords. So why is Putin doing this? Because he wants to maintain control. He wants to maintain control not just of the country and the people and the media, but of the ideas, of, you know, Russia's marketplace of ideas, of the thoughts and the concepts and the creativity and the information, the knowledge that they would get. And he thinks that that's going to increase his chances of victory, right? He wants to be the victor. He wants to have that iron fist, crack down, use that, you know, wield the sword. He wants to be in control of that information of the air realm, right? Swords is the media, the communication, the intellect, the ideas that people need to be informed and to make decisions about their lives. He wants to be the controller of that. For outside influence, you know, the influence of other nations in this case, we have the Six of Cups. So the Six of Cups is a nostalgic card, wants to go back to the past here. So this is telling me that other nations want, well, Russia's past would still be propaganda, of course, but there's an innocence here. There's an innocence, a naivete, there's joy in this card. So I guess what I'm saying is, I think other nations want Russia to be able to, obviously, to have access to the information that they need. But there's like a recognition that this would be something new for Russia. There's a naivete with the Russian people and media and outside media sources. Okay, so there obviously was a time, there must have been a time in Russia, maybe prior to Putin, when sort of Gorbachev and or Yeltsin was in there, when things were opening up and they were starting to maybe turn towards the West, open their media, so forth and so on. I think that this is where it's going here. The idea of other nations, outside influences, is that they want to bring Russia back to a place, a better place, a more joyful and easier place. Back before Putin, when things were easier, things were freer, the people had more joy and more comfort, right? So yeah, I think they just want to go this, like, let's go back pre-Putin to back when Russia had a little bit of freedom and joy there, and try and bring them back to that. It's kind of the best I'm getting out of that. Hopes and fears is the Wheel of Fortune. So, you know, the hope is hope and fear, right? So the hope is that things will turn for the better, fortunes will improve, that Russia gets their karma. The fear, of course, is that things, you know, fortunes will turn for the worse, that that karma won't happen in the way that we think it should, right? That that good fortune, you know, so the wheel just turns. What was up must come down, what was down must come up. So whichever way the wheel is turning is one person's good versus the other person's bad here. So the hope is fortunes turn for the better. We can turn this thing around. The fear, of course, is that that won't happen. Okay, so, you know, it's pretty standard. What's the outcome? This is what I'm looking for here. Outcome. 5 of Pentacles. So this is loss, poverty, being banished, thrown out in the cold. You've lost everything. So as far as Russians and their propaganda, and it looks like either it's just, you know, we know that the devil's got a hold of them. He wants to be in control here. And so my feeling is that he's going to be successful, at least going into the near future. He's going to be successful maintaining this propaganda. Anyone who fights that, going to get tossed out in the cold. You know, just like, you know, any of these Russian news outlets that want to broadcast the words war and invasion, they're going to get shut down, maybe tossed out in the cold. Impoverished, banished, just ostracized. So that's kind of what I'm getting here. The outcome is a lot of ostracization, a lot of banishment, a lot of loss, being kicked out of the system. So yeah, I think that whatever, especially Russian media outlets, try and overcome Putin's propaganda, he's going to punish them. He's going to punish them, and it ain't going to be pretty. Okay, so let's leave that there for Russia and propaganda. I also want to take a look at the Russian soldiers. So I'm kind of seeing two stories. I'm going to check my time here. Seeing two stories. On the one hand, Russia's going in there just brutal, right? Brutal. Bombing everything, destroying everything, not following any of the Geneva Conventions, just bombing hospitals, schools, maternity center, right? Just no care for for civilian casualties. Just brutal, okay? Brutal warfare by these Russian soldiers. They know they're in Ukraine. They know they're in Kyiv or Kherson or these other cities that they're very familiar with. They know they're in Russia, and they know they're fighting Ukrainians. But still, the brutality. Okay, so that's the one side. The other side, of course, is we hear of soldiers surrendering. A whole platoon surrendered. That plane that threatened that little island, Snake Island, that he was, you know, that they would all die if they didn't surrender. He didn't kill them. They landed that plane and took them hostage, but they didn't kill them, right? Then we have, you know, captured Russian soldiers giving videos saying, we didn't know. We thought we were on a peacekeeping mission. We thought we were protecting Russians. We thought we were protecting, you know, we were freeing Ukrainians from the Nazis. We didn't know we were here to slaughter them. We didn't know. We didn't know. Russian soldiers don't know. So I'm having trouble, you know, reconciling these two things. You know, if you guys didn't know, then how come you're coming over here when you're here and you know where you are and what you're doing? Why are you bombing hospitals? So I kind of want to know about these Russian soldiers. You know, I'd like to think that they will continue to surrender, defect. I mean, you know, Russia's not exactly closed anymore, but they'd still be defecting, right? Surrendering, giving up their weapons, taking refuge in the Western states. Or, you know, are they, also want to know when they go back to Russia, are they going to be telling the rest of the Russian people what really happened? So these Russian soldiers, Spirit, what can you tell us about these Russian soldiers? I do especially want to know, do they agree with what they're doing? Are they doing it willingly? And will they tell their homeland what happened when they returned home? Will they tell Russians what happened in Ukraine? Okay. Because I feel like these Russian soldiers are the key on how to stop Putin. If they can really get to these soldiers and tell them, hey, what are you doing? You know, if enough of them just refuse to do the work, yeah, you know, things would be different, but I guess it's always like that. Okay, Russian soldiers. Russian soldiers. I think because of the time, this is going to be the last reading. Okay. Okay, so we're presenting here with the Brutal Soldier card here, 5 of Swords. So yeah, friggin', you know, devastation, scorched earth, brutal warfare, unethical, you know, not playing fair, just devastation. So this is how they're presenting right here. They're doing this work. The challenge for these Russian soldiers, here we have the Page of Wands. So their challenge is that they're not getting some information here. This page with this wand is all about communication, spreading the message, sending the information, and that's their challenge. They're not getting it. So yeah, they probably really don't know all the details of why they're doing what they're doing, or even, I feel like, even commands that come down from, say, either Putin or from some generals. There might be some logistical problems in getting some orders down through the ranks. They're not hearing everything they need to hear. There's information that they're not getting that they need here. So they're kind of in the dark, you know? What's in the sky above them? What are they going to be facing? They have the 9 of Wands. Ooh, so they're going to be brought low. So there's a lot of things they're facing here. A lot of things they're facing. They're facing, you know, the stronger than expected Ukrainian response, right? Ukrainians are fighting super hard for their homeland. They're really giving Russia a run for its money here. They're really a worthy foe for Russia in this instance. So this is bringing the Russian military, is kind of kneecapping them a little. They're having to defend themselves. This wasn't some easy peasy roll in, you know, flatten the place, roll out. They're having to fight it out. They're being brought low. They're being kneecapped. They have to defend themselves. They're in battle mode here. And in addition to that, Yeah, that's just the feeling I'm getting here, that this guy's like digging trenches, down in dirty warfare, you know, the actual physical battles in these cities. They're gonna, if this is something they're coming face to face with, then at some point they're going to be looking at their own actions in this. Why are we attacking Kyiv, right? Why are we attacking Odessa? Why are we, you know, ruining the landscape of this land? Why did we do X, Y, Z? They're going to have to come face to face with their own actions in Ukraine as far as the battles that they fought. You know, the actual things that they're doing there. That's going to come back to haunt them. Foundationally, it's a 10 of Swords, okay? So what's foundational to this with the Russian soldiers is that they were stabbed in the back here. So this tells me that the stories that they were lied to, they were misdirected. You know, they were stabbed in the back. Putin stabbed him in the back. He lied to them. He told them one thing, sent him out there, now they're doing something else, right? They feel betrayed, let down, and it could be it is going to be the death of many of them, right? So many of them have already died. This is leading to their physical death, but this is also the anxiety and the fear and the despair that is at the very foundation of this, looking at these Russian soldiers. So in the past, what's the energy they're coming through? My God, it's the Tower. So I would say this must be the pretty darn recent past. They've destroyed Ukraine. You know, they're destroying city after city after city. And as a result of what they're doing in Ukraine, Russia is also in its way being destroyed, right, with economic sanctions. So it's the crumbling of the infrastructure, the tearing down of everything as they had known it previously. Everything's changing now. What happened in Ukraine clearly is a change for Ukraine. What's happening in Russia, huge for Russia. We're watching the crumbling of two countries here. And this energy is already in motion. It's already started. This is happening right now. But this, you know, is showing you the severity of it, that this is completely going to transform these two nations. Because when everything crumbles down, you have to rebuild from scratch. Okay. The energy they're going to be moving into with the 10 of Pentacles. And this is the war chest of money. The war chest of money. So on the one hand, Putin has already sort of offered more money to these soldiers, offered more money to their families, offered money to the families of fallen soldiers, offering money to injured soldiers, and so forth. So Putin's trying to alleviate a lot of this with money for the Russian soldiers. So I'm kind of feeling like maybe that's really the only thing that's keeping them going, is thinking that they're going to get a little money out of this. You know, Russia, you know, they're a modern nation, but they're not, you know, they're supposedly one of the wealthiest nations, but like US, there's a lot of poverty there, right? So there's something about money, something about the war chest, which is the energy that they're going to be moving into. So if it's not just the direct payments to these soldiers, then it could have to deal with the sanctions that are being imposed on Russia, this sort of money that's being drained out of their war chest, drained out of their nation, this preoccupation with money. And, you know, not just what's in your hand, but what's in your bank account, right? All your resources, all your assets. Yeah, they're going to come home when they leave Ukraine, for those that get to go home, they're going to go home to a ravaged nation where probably all of their life savings are gone. Any assets they might have had are gone. The wealth of their nation is gone. So they've got a really rude awakening here. There's nothing in this reading that's good for these soldiers here. The brutality of what they're doing in Russia, the severity of Ukraine's countering of them is bringing them low. They're suffering losses. They're suffering low morale. They're digging in, but it's really, really difficult. They've been kneecapped. Foundationally, they're dying, right? There's a lot of them being killed, and those that aren't being killed, this is their downfall. They've been lied to. They've been hoodwinked. They've been tricked and manipulated. They're looking at the destruction of Ukraine and their own country. And when they come back, they're not going to have anything to go back to. The nation's finances and their own finances are going to be gone. So, there are no winners in war, and this is the thing with Putin. It's like, you can't win this war. There are no winners. Putin's not going to win. Russia's not going to win. The Russian people, the Russian military, nobody's winning this thing. Okay, that's going to be it for me today. Thank you guys for staying with me for so long. I'll probably come back in a couple days because there's definitely some other things I want to hit. I want to look at Chernobyl. I want to look at, the nuclear question, tactical nukes for sure, or World War III. But we'll get to it in a couple days. And until then, stay safe out there. Be loving and kind to all those around you. And, maybe pray for Ukraine if a prayer is something that you indulge in. I do crystal work, so I did a crystal grid for Ukraine. If you're interested in seeing that, I was debating whether I should kind of put a little video online about that grid. If you're interested, let me know. I might put something out there for you guys. Until then, we'll see you in a couple days, okay? Bye, everybody.